You know what's funny? Most people are waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect idea, the perfect moment. But let me tell you something. The perfect moment never comes. While you're waiting for someday, someone else is already doing it today. And that's why they'll win. Not because they're smarter, but because they started. We live in a world where everyone is waiting for the right time, the right idea, the right level of confidence, the right circumstances. But the truth is, there is no perfect moment to start anything. The right time doesn't exist. People think success is born out of perfect timing and preparation, but in reality, success is born out of imperfect action. Waiting until you're ready is just another way of saying you're afraid. It's disguised fear. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of not being good enough. But the people who win in life are not the ones who wait for perfection. They are the ones who take the first step, even when they're scared. They understand that readiness is not something you wait for. It's something you create. Every person who has achieved something remarkable started before they were ready. They didn't have all the answers. They didn't have a perfect plan. They just began, messy, uncertain, and full of doubt. But they moved anyway. And that's what separates the doers from the dreamers. You cannot learn to swim by standing on the shore. You have to jump into the water. The fear won't vanish before you take action. It disappears because you take action. The moment you move, you gain something that planning can never give you momentum. Even a small, uncertain step forward gives you more power than 1,000 perfect thoughts. Because life doesn't reward intention, it rewards execution. The biggest misconception people have is that they need confidence to start. But confidence doesn't come first, action does. Confidence is built, not found. Every time you take action, even if you fail, you gain a new level of self-belief. The problem is, people keep waiting to feel ready, waiting for courage, for validation, for certainty. But what they don't realize is that courage grows from doing. You can't think your way into bravery, you act your way into it. You might feel unprepared, inexperienced, or nervous. That's normal. Everyone feels that. But the only way to become ready is by moving through those emotions, not avoiding them. If you keep waiting to feel ready, you'll watch your life pass by one, someday, at a time. Look around, the world moves fast. The people who start imperfectly often surpass those who never start at all. Why? Because experience teaches faster than theory. You can read hundreds of articles, watch every motivational video, attend every course, but until you act, nothing changes. You only truly learn once you put yourself in the arena. Every mistake you make becomes a lesson, every failure a stepping stone. That's the beauty of action. Even when you fail, you still move forward. When you act, you gain clarity. You start to see what works, what doesn't, what needs to change. But when you wait, you only gain one thing, more doubt. Because the longer you delay, the heavier the fear grows. Think about it. How many ideas died inside the minds of people who were waiting to be ready? How many dreams were buried because someone said, I'll start next month? Life doesn't wait for your schedule. Opportunities don't send reminders. The window you're waiting for might close before you ever make your move. If you don't start today, someone else will. Someone with less talent, less knowledge, and fewer resources will take the chance you were too scared to take. And one day, you'll watch them living the life you once imagined, not because they were more gifted, but because they acted. The difference between failure and success is rarely intelligence, it's initiative. The world doesn't remember those who planned perfectly. It remembers those who showed up. Action has a ripple effect. When you move, life responds. Doors open, people notice, opportunities appear. But you'll never see those doors while standing still. You have to move to create motion. Every successful journey begins with a single, uncomfortable step, the kind that makes your heart race and your hands shake. But that's the step that changes everything. Once you start, fear loses its power. Uncertainty fades. You begin to realize that the thing you were afraid of wasn't the act of doing. It was the act of waiting. Because waiting steals your time, your energy, your confidence. The longer you wait, the more you believe the lie that you're not ready. But when you finally act, you prove to yourself that you always were. The truth is, perfection is an illusion. You'll never have the perfect plan, the perfect skill, or the perfect moment. And you don't need to. You just need to start messy, unsure, but determined. Because once you take that first imperfect step, everything begins to shift. You start learning faster than you ever imagined. You start attracting opportunities you couldn't see before. You start believing in yourself, not because you suddenly became capable, but because you finally acted. And that's why action always beats perfection. The world doesn't reward those who are ready. It rewards those who begin. Every person dreams of growth, becoming stronger, smarter, richer, wiser, more confident. But here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. Growth never happens in comfort. Comfort feels good, but it doesn't change you. Discomfort, on the other hand, is the birthplace of greatness. It's where you discover your strength, test your limits, and realize what you're truly capable of. People spend their lives trying to avoid pain, struggle, and challenge. But ironically, those are the very things that make you grow. The things you're afraid of doing are usually the things that will take you to the next level. Growth and comfort can never coexist. You must choose one. When you stay in your comfort zone, life becomes predictable. You know what to expect. You feel safe. But nothing new ever happens there. Comfort kills ambition slowly, quietly, without warning. It convinces you that this is enough, even when deep down you know you're capable of more. You start settling for average results, for small dreams, for mediocrity, not because you can't do better, but because comfort feels easy. But here's the problem: easy things rarely lead to meaningful outcomes. Every person who has ever achieved something extraordinary had to first walk through discomfort. Success is not a result of comfort. It's a result of endurance through discomfort. The truth is, growth feels terrible while it's happening. It's confusing, frustrating, and uncertain. When you're uncomfortable, your mind screams for safety. It tells you to quit, to stop, to retreat to what feels familiar. But if you give in every time it gets hard, you'll never reach your potential. Growth requires struggle. You must learn to sit in discomfort long enough to let it transform you. It's like lifting weights. Your muscles don't grow until they've been stretched, strained, and broken down. The pain you feel is proof that you're growing. Without that resistance, you remain the same. Life works the same way. The challenges that hurt today are the ones that prepare you for tomorrow. When you face something uncomfortable, whether it's starting a new business, learning a new skill, or taking a risk, your first instinct is fear. You doubt yourself. You question your ability. You imagine every worst-case scenario. But that fear is not a sign to stop. It's a signal to move forward. Fear only appears when you're stepping into something bigger than your current level. That's how you know you're growing. You can't expand inside the walls of safety. Growth demands courage, not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move through it. Every uncomfortable moment is an invitation to rise above your limits. If you look back at your life, you'll realize that the moments that changed you most weren't the easy ones. They were the ones that challenged you, stretched you, maybe even broke you. Those moments built your resilience, sharpened your instincts, and taught you lessons that comfort never could. Discomfort is a gift. It introduces you to the strongest version of yourself. It's in the failures, rejections, and late nights that your real growth begins. Every time you choose to face what scares you, you evolve. You stop running from difficulty and start embracing it. That's when transformation happens. When you stop asking for easy and start asking for worth it. Most people never unlock their full potential because they run away from discomfort too soon. They quit at the first sign of pain. But winners, the ones who truly grow, they learn to stay. They stay when it's hard. They stay when it's uncertain. They stay when it's uncomfortable because they know the discomfort won't last forever, but the growth it brings will. Every day you push through fear, frustration, or failure, you're building the muscle of resilience. And resilience is the foundation of every success story. Comfort gives you rest. Discomfort gives you results. So the next time you feel uncomfortable, don't run, don't hide, smile. Because that discomfort means you're on the edge of becoming something greater. It's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's proof that you're moving forward. Growth isn't supposed to feel good. It's supposed to work. And work always comes with resistance. But when you keep going, when you refuse to quit even when it hurts, you'll look back one day and realize that every uncomfortable step was worth it. Because that's where you found your strength. Not in the easy days, but in the difficult ones. In life, you can read every book, watch every motivational video, and listen to every successful person speak. But until you experience something for yourself, the lesson doesn't truly sink in. Knowledge is powerful, but experience is transformational. You can't learn to ride a bike by reading about balance, and you can't learn to lead by studying leadership theories. Some things can only be learned by doing, by failing, by feeling, and by living through them. Experience is the teacher that speaks in the language of reality. It's not always gentle, but it's always effective. Every mistake, every setback, every victory, they all teach you something that no classroom or lecture ever could. The problem today is that many people are obsessed with learning, but allergic to doing. They gather information endlessly, telling themselves they're preparing, when in truth, they're just postponing action. They want to know everything before they start. The plan, the risks, the guarantees. But life doesn't work that way. You can't prepare for every possibility. You can't predict every outcome. The only way to really understand something is to experience it. That's how the world works. The greatest lessons don't come from textbooks. They come from trials. Knowledge gives you theory, but experience gives you truth. When you act, even if you fail, you gain insights that no amount of research can give you. For example, you can study how to start a business for years, but you won't understand what it really takes until you actually launch one. You won't know how to handle pressure until you've faced it. You won't understand persistence until you've been knocked down and forced to rise again. Experience takes the abstract and turns it into reality. It builds instinct, resilience, and wisdom. The people who grow the fastest are not those who read the most, but those who do the most. Because action turns information into understanding. Every time you take action, you collect data from the real world. Data no book can give you. You learn what works and what doesn't. You learn how people respond, how systems fail, how to adapt when things go wrong. Experience refines your judgment. It teaches you patience, timing, and emotional control. Most importantly, it teaches humility. Because when you experience life firsthand, you realize how much you still don't know. That humility becomes your greatest strength. It keeps you learning, growing, and evolving. And ironically, that's how you end up becoming an expert. Not by knowing everything, but by experiencing enough to know what truly matters. Failure, too, is one of life's greatest teachers, but only if you're willing to learn from it. Every failure contains a lesson, a clue, a piece of wisdom that success often hides. When you fail, you gain clarity. You see your weaknesses, your blind spots, your wrong assumptions. It's not failure that defeats you. It's your refusal to learn from it. Experience transforms failure into feedback. The more you experience, the more accurate your decisions become. Over time, you start recognizing patterns. You begin to trust your gut because it's built on real encounters, not theoretical guesses. That's why experienced people often make quick, confident decisions. Their instincts are trained by reality. But remember this, experience doesn't mean time, it means exposure. Some people spend 10 years doing the same thing and never grow, while others learn more in 6 months of active experience than most do in a lifetime of time. It's not about how long you've been doing something. It's about how much you risk, how much you test, and how many times you've stepped outside your comfort zone. Every new challenge adds a layer to your understanding. Every difficult moment builds your inner strength. Experience is built by movement, not maintenance. If you stop moving, you stop learning. The most successful people in the world are those who value experience more than skill. They take risks, they try fail, adjust, and try again. They understand that doing something imperfectly teaches more than doing nothing perfectly. They don't fear mistakes, they see them as stepping stones. That's the mindset of growth. Because at the end of the day, you can't fake experience. It shows in your decisions, your confidence, and your character. Experience gives you something no education system can, wisdom, earned through reality. So don't just chase knowledge, chase experience. Get your hands dirty, try it. experiment. Take risks. You'll learn more from 1 year of doing than from a year of waiting. Because experience is not just the best teacher, it's the only teacher that gives lessons that last a lifetime. Opportunities are like waves. They rise, they pass. And if you don't move at the right moment, they're gone. Most people spend so much time preparing, overthinking, and waiting for the right time, that by the time they finally decide to act, the moment has already passed. Life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. Opportunities don't knock forever. They whisper once, and if you don't answer, they move to someone else who will. That's the harsh truth. Opportunity rewards action, not hesitation. The world is full of people who had great ideas, but never acted on them. And those ideas eventually became someone else's success story. We often fool ourselves into believing that chances will come again, that there's always more time. But time is the most unpredictable resource you'll ever have. You can't pause it, you can't control it, and you can't get it back once it's gone. Every moment you delay is a moment someone else is using to move ahead. The people who achieve great things in life aren't always the most talented or the most prepared. They're the ones who moved when the window opened. They saw an opening, and instead of asking, what if I fail? They asked, what if I succeed? That one decision, act rather than wait, changes everything. Think about how the world moves today. Markets shift overnight. Technology evolves in months. Trends come and go faster than ever. If you hesitate too long, what was once an opportunity turns into history. The speed of the world doesn't slow down for your doubts. It doesn't stop so you can feel ready. In this fast, moving world, timing is power. You don't need perfect timing. You need decisive timing. The people who make progress are the ones who learn to trust their instincts and take action when they sense potential. Because every delay, every excuse, every hesitation, it all costs you more than you realize. Opportunities rarely look perfect when they first appear. In fact, they often look risky, uncertain, and uncomfortable. That's why most people miss them. They expect opportunities to come neatly packaged, labeled success. But opportunities often come disguised as challenges. They come as problems that need solving, risks that need taking, or doors that are too heavy to push open. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is that successful people recognize potential where others see uncertainty. They understand that opportunity and fear are twins. They always show up together. You can't have one without the other. It's easy to look back and say, I should have done that. But by then, the door has already closed. Regret is the cost of hesitation. Every time you hesitate, you lose more than time. You lose confidence. You teach yourself to doubt your instincts, to overthink your decisions, to let fear drive your future. And that habit becomes dangerous. Because once you start letting opportunities go, it becomes normal. You start convincing yourself that maybe next time you'll be ready. But the truth is, there might not be a next time. Some doors only open once in a lifetime. And if you're not brave enough to walk through them, when they do, you may spend the rest of your life wondering what was on the other side. The most successful people don't have a magic formula. They simply make faster decisions. They move even when they don't have all the answers. They know that opportunities are fragile. They don't wait around. They take risks, learn along the way, and adapt as they go. That's how progress happens. You can't plan your way to success. You have to act your way there. The sooner you move, the sooner life starts to open new paths for you. Opportunities attract momentum. When you act, you create energy. When you hesitate, you lose it. The longer you wait, the more reasons you'll find to keep waiting. But the moment you take a leap, life begins to respond in ways you never expected. Ask yourself, how many times have you seen someone else living the dream you once imagined? How many times have you thought, that could have been me? The only difference between them and you wasn't luck, it was timing. They saw the same opportunity, but they moved while you were still thinking. They didn't wait until they were ready. They became ready after they started. That's the secret. Because readiness doesn't attract opportunity, action does. Opportunities are temporary windows in time, and they close faster than you think. The world doesn't pause for your doubts, your fears, or your overthinking. If something feels right, if your heart pulls you toward it, if your gut whispers go, go. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for guarantees. Because if you do, you'll watch someone else live the life you could have had. And the truth is, opportunities don't disappear. They just move to the hands of those who are brave enough to take them. Fear, it's something every single one of us feels. No matter how strong, confident, or successful a person looks, fear never completely disappears. It's always there, quietly whispering, what if it doesn't work? But here's the truth. The goal is not to live without fear. The goal is to move despite it. Fear is not your enemy. It's a signal that you're stepping into something bigger than your comfort zone. The presence of fear doesn't mean you're weak or unprepared. It means you're growing. It means you're standing at the edge of possibility, facing something that matters. If there's no fear, there's probably no growth. Most people think they have to wait until they're fearless before they start chasing their dreams. They believe courage is the absence of fear, but that's not true at all. Courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. The people who achieve greatness aren't fearless. They've just learned how to keep moving while fear walks beside them. They understand that fear never goes away. It just changes shape. When you start a business, you fear failure. When it succeeds, you fear losing it. When you begin something new, you fear judgment. When you grow, you fear expectations. Fear always evolves with your level. You can't eliminate it, but you can learn to manage it. The problem is that fear disguises itself in many forms: overthinking, procrastination, perfectionism, and even excuses. You might say, I'm waiting for the right time, but deep down, you're just afraid. You're afraid to fail, to be laughed at, to disappoint people, or to realize you're not as ready as you thought. Fear creates stories in your head, stories that sound logical, but are really limitations. It convinces you that safety is better than potential. But here's the danger: every time you listen to fear, it grows stronger. Every time you choose safety over courage, you teach your brain that it's okay to settle. Over time, you become trapped, not by circumstance, but by your own hesitation. Think about it. Everything you want in life lies on the other side of fear. Every dream, every goal, every transformation. Yet, fear builds walls between you and the life you deserve. The only way to break those walls is to face them head on. When you take that first step toward what scares you, something powerful happens. Fear starts to shrink. It doesn't vanish, but it loses control over you. Each step forward weakens its voice. You realize fear was never as strong as you imagined. It just sounded louder when you stood still. Action silences fear. Movement exposes its lies. The moment you start doing what you're afraid of, fear becomes fuel instead of a cage. Fear, in many ways, is your greatest teacher. It shows you what matters most. You don't fear things that don't matter to you. You fear losing what's valuable: your dreams, your reputation, your identity, your progress. So when you feel afraid, instead of running, ask yourself, what is this fear trying to teach me? Maybe it's telling you that you care deeply. Maybe it's showing you where you need to grow. Maybe it's reminding you that what you're chasing is worth it. Fear is not a stop sign, it's a signpost. It doesn't mean turn back. It means prepare and push forward. The people who grow the most are the ones who learn to use fear as a guide, not a guard. If you look at every major breakthrough in history, every invention, every movement, every success story, they all have one thing in common. Someone was afraid, but they acted anyway. The greatest minds didn't wait until they were fearless. They stepped forward trembling, uncertain, but determined. They understood that fear doesn't fade, it adapts, and so must you. Because every time you conquer one fear, another one will rise. But each time you face it, you grow stronger, wiser, and more confident. Fear will always be part of the journey, but it doesn't have to control the direction. It can either be your barrier or your motivation. The choice is yours. So stop trying to get rid of fear. Start learning to walk with it. Accept it as a companion, not a curse. Let it remind you that you're alive, that you're trying something meaningful. Because if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. Fear will always be there, but so will your courage. The question is, which one will you listen to? Because fear may whisper doubts, but courage speaks truth. And the truth is this: you are capable, even when you're afraid. You are brave, even when you tremble. And you are ready, even when fear tells you you're not. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking they have to have everything figured out before they start. They wait until their plan is perfect, until every detail is accounted for, until every risk is eliminated. But life doesn't wait for perfect plans. It waits for action. The truth is, you don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. You just need the courage to move forward, even if it's uncertain. Starting now is always better than waiting for clarity, because clarity comes through movement, not hesitation. Every day you delay is a day of lost opportunities, a day of wasted potential, a day that could have been your breakthrough. Starting now doesn't mean reckless action. It means beginning with what you have, where you are, and taking the first step, even if it's small. Waiting to have perfect resources or complete knowledge is a trap that keeps you stagnant. Action is what creates momentum. Once you start, even imperfectly, the world begins to respond. Opportunities, lessons, and insights appear that you could never have imagined from a place of inaction. You adjust, you adapt, and you improve as you go. That's the beauty of starting. It forces progress because the first step opens the door to the next and the next, until suddenly you're moving faster than you ever thought possible. The fear of starting before you're ready often paralyzes people. They overthink, overplan, and overanalyze. They try to predict every outcome, control every variable, and eliminate every risk. But no plan survives first contact with reality. Life is unpredictable. Challenges will arise, mistakes will happen, and unexpected obstacles will appear. The people who succeed are the ones who understand this truth. You adjust later. You start, learn, correct, and continue. Waiting for perfect conditions is the fastest way to ensure nothing ever happens. Progress is never linear, and perfection is a moving target. The sooner you start, the sooner you begin the real learning process, the one that only comes through experience. Starting now also builds confidence. Every time you act, you prove to yourself that you are capable. Action creates momentum, and momentum breeds belief. Even if you fail initially, you gain something far more valuable than comfort. You gain insight. You learn what works, what doesn't, what to do next, and what to avoid. Waiting for perfect readiness gives you nothing but anxiety, doubt, and wasted potential. Starting imperfectly gives you knowledge, growth, and the courage to continue. It transforms fear into fuel, hesitation into experience, and uncertainty into clarity. Another important aspect of starting now is that it prevents regret. The human mind tends to remember missed opportunities more painfully than failures. People often look back at their lives wishing they had started sooner, wishing they had taken that first step, wishing they had taken the risk. Regret is heavy, and it weighs down future action. But when you start now, you're actively creating your future instead of passively hoping for it. Even if you stumble along the way, you're moving forward, you're learning, you're evolving. And every adjustment you make after starting is far more effective than endless preparation before starting. Starting now also allows you to test your ideas and refine your approach in real time. No amount of planning can substitute for real-world feedback. When you begin, you expose your ideas, your skills, and your strategy to reality. You discover what resonates, what needs improvement, and what is irrelevant. Every step forward teaches you something you couldn't have learned from theory alone. You gain clarity, direction, and confidence. You begin to see the path unfold before you, not as a perfect blueprint, but as a dynamic journey that you shape with every action. Ultimately, the lesson is simple. Don't wait for the perfect moment, because it will never come. Don't wait until you're ready, because readiness is an illusion. Don't wait until fear, doubt, or uncertainty disappears, because they never will. The only way to make progress is to start where you are with what you have and take action. Adjust, adapt, and improve as you go. The first step may be small, awkward, or uncertain, but it is the most important. Momentum is created through action, not preparation. Every second you wait is a second lost. Every step you take, no matter how imperfect, brings you closer to your goal, your dream, and the life you want. Start now and adjust later, because that is how all success begins. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting until you feel ready, confident, or fearless. The truth is, readiness is an illusion, and fear is a constant companion. What separates the successful from the dreamers isn't talent, knowledge, or luck. It's action. It's starting before you're ready, moving through discomfort, learning from experience, seizing opportunities, facing fear, and adjusting as you go. Every step you take today, no matter how small, messy, or uncertain, brings you closer to the life you've been imagining. Momentum is built through action, courage is forged in the face of fear, and growth is born from discomfort. Waiting won't create the results you want, but starting will. Remember this, the world doesn't reward those who wait. It rewards those who act, those who are brave enough to begin, even when it feels impossible. Those who turn hesitation into momentum, fear into fuel, and dreams into reality. Your future starts the moment you take the first step. So start now. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for confidence. Don't wait until you're ready. The perfect moment is already here. It's called now. Because in the end, success doesn't come to the one who waits. It comes to the one who moves.